Good morning. I'm Sanaa, and you're listening to Let's Grab Coffee on WYXR 91.7 FM. Every Monday morning, I'm joined by experts from across the country who are investigating our most pressing social issues and common curiosities. Over the next hour, you'll learn about their inspirations, motivations, and of course, what they know about the world around us. So grab that cup of coffee and get ready for a fun and insightful conversation. Happy holidays! This time of year is supposed to be merry and bright, but according to the American Psychological Association, 38% of people surveyed said their stress increased during the holiday season. And now we know that increased stress can lead to physical illness, depression, anxiety, and even substance misuse. Not only that, but a National Alliance on Mental Illness study showed that 64% of people with mental illness reported that the holidays make their conditions worse. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Justin K. Dodson of Navigating Courage Counseling and Consultation to talk about how we can manage the stress of this season, stress that we ourselves might be experiencing, or even the stress that others around us might be experiencing that we may not even be aware of. Dr. Dodson is a licensed therapist who specializes in working with adult men and couples who are struggling with career, family, stress management, personal identity, relationship, and school concerns. He also specializes in working with men who are experiencing depression, anxiety, fear, or other issues that hinder their ability to live their lives the way they would like to and the way that they deserve. Good morning, Justin. Thank you so much for joining us again on the show.
Yeah, good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here. As always, you are a joy and a delight to share with. So I am looking forward to today's conversation.
Yes, and right back at you. Before we started recording this morning and jumped on the call, I was just sharing with you how much I loved our previous interview, which was focusing on men's mental health, and how much I love listening to you. I love learning from you. And I know you have so much knowledge to share with our listeners. And importantly, are able to do that in a way that feels very affirming and comforting, even just through an interview. So I can imagine in your sessions when you are working with your clients one-on-one, how much of an affirming space that is. So I just feel very lucky to have you here with us this morning.
Glad to be here. That's quite the compliment. Hopefully, I am living up to that. But I think I'm doing an okay job.
Okay. I'm sure you're probably doing better than okay, but we'll start this morning off humble. Well, it is the holiday season, and I don't know about you, but this is a time of year where it's exciting. Of course, you have all the holiday music, and you may be looking forward to seeing people you haven't seen in a while. But also, I'll be honest, it can be very stressful. And I feel that stress, particularly when it comes to gift giving, because that is an expectation of this time of year, but it can feel stressful if you can't meet that expectation or if you don't even want to. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
that is so true. I was talking to somebody the other day and um, someone was stressed out about just being able to buy gifts for the holiday season on top of all of their other finances. A lot of bills don't stop just because it's Christmas, and it takes a lot of money to decorate, to cook dinner, to please people, to buy gifts. And so I told him, I said, well, what if you just came up with a budget and gave all of the kids, the nieces and nephews, $50 each? Because when you get to a Nintendo Switch and a game for one kid,
Ooh.
hundreds of dollars. And then you have the next kid and the next kid, everybody get a flat fee. And that fit within your budget. And a lot of people don't know or realize that you can budget gift giving. You can also say no to gift giving. I think my mom is a prime example where she has godchildren and she's retired. And so I'm always getting on her about, you're retired. You just can't do what you used to do, and that's okay. And so when it comes to gift giving, I always encourage people to have a boundary. Let's stop trying to be hero and realize what we can do. And I'm not sure about other people, but there was a stretch of time where every time the holiday came around, I didn't have any money. And so I don't know what happened. Maybe I was just mismanaging my money in my 20s, probably. As a matter of fact, yes, I was. And holidays would come around and it just wouldn't be anything. So I was sitting there thinking, okay, you need to sit down. You can't go here and there and do this and do that. And so it's okay to just sit down.
It's okay. Whoo, you know what? I think I needed to hear that. I know other people probably needed to hear that it is okay. We might feel like it's not okay, but it is in fact okay. And then I also think, that's a message for us as well to know that if someone gives us a gift that maybe we think should have been, I don't know, bigger, better, more expensive, that's okay. We also need to manage our own expectations. Why are we expecting for people to go above and beyond? Well, at the same time, many of the people who are giving us gifts, we care about their well-being. And we would probably be very hurt to know that they are overextending themselves in order to meet this kind of cultural expectation of gift giving.
Yeah, yeah. First thing that comes to mind, it's really difficult to consider someone else's well-being when you're putting yours first. It's really difficult to, and it's nothing wrong with putting your well-being first. Let me revamp that. It's difficult to care about someone else's well-being when you want to put your expectation of having a grand gift put first. Right. So instead of caring about, well, can Justin really afford this versus this is going to make me feel good if he gets me this. I think that there's a difference. And when you talked about managing expectations, we expect things from people, but they don't owe us anything.
Ooh.
Right? So even if you have a big family, okay, get the kids a little something.
Right.
But the older we get, in my opinion, some people you're not getting anything.
Oh.
And so I think with certain friend groups, you may choose to everybody pick a name and we do gift exchange. Or with certain families, we do a gift exchange or we do a dirty Santa. And so I think that there are ways to minimize the gift giving and also make it fun. And then even in coupleship, all right, let's talk Christmas this year. What are we expecting? Let's do one gift a piece. Let's do two gifts. Let's actually do one gift and put some towards savings. So I think that there are multiple ways to get creative and play around with gift giving. And maybe if I have a big family and everybody lives in one household, maybe I buy one thing for the house opposed to all of these small things that stress me out trying to get because I'm trying to work ahead for that person's expectation. And that gets us in a funk. Then we don't have money to pay our bills. And that doesn't make sense.
Right. Absolutely. Justin, I feel like you just got in all our business with the gift giving.
I got it in my business.
Well, I mean, especially when you talked about coupleship, and that can be a very tricky area to navigate, particularly for folks who are just dating. They're still in that phase of like, what are we? Now you have this holiday and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I like you, but I don't want this to be the thing that kind of breaks down our communication or our interest in each other. So, see, you're getting in everybody's business this holiday season. It is not merry and bright.
Yeah, but I think that you said something so great right there in terms of, I don't want this to break down our communication or what we have. And this is the exact time to start enhancing that. So let's just have a conversation around what do we expect? Because you know how you see movies and one person will get something and then the other person didn't, and then we're thrown off when we could have just talked about, all right, let's do something small, nothing big, just something to say, I'm thinking about you. I acknowledge this relationship. This is a token of my acknowledgement and gratitude of this. And it could be something sentimental. It could be something from a first date. It could be something that you've paid attention to that person wants. It could also be something towards something they want, right? So let's say that I want a camera. Well, maybe I can't buy you a $600 camera, but I can give you $50 toward that camera and we start your savings fund toward that thing. So, something small, but it means a lot because it shows that you're thinking about them. So there's a way to get creative and also manage expectations for yourself and other people.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Well, we dive right into the deep end talking about gift
Yeah.
giving, but I know there are a lot of things that this holiday season will bring up for folks that are stressors. I'm thinking about, I know a lot of folks have lost loved ones, and I know this might be the first holiday or even the second or third holiday, but you're still feeling that grief. Of course, all these expectations to finish the year strong and to complete your entire to-do list that you've been avoiding this year, but we're going to get it done in these last few days. Or
Yeah.
even just thinking about all these extra social gatherings that again, that expectation to be social. So I'm wondering for you, what are some of the main stressors that you see during this holiday season, and maybe how can we be thinking about them differently, or what can we do to be proactive about not getting overwhelmed and not having that stress take over?
For sure. I think that some major stressors that I see is being around family.
Mm.
Whether that means I'm married and I don't want to be around my in-laws, or I don't want to be around my own family because I expect Uncle Joe is going to say something crazy or Aunt Laverne is going to do something silly. And so I think that those are stressors that I see often with people. One thing that I would say in response to that is don't stray away from how you manage to take care of yourself every other day of the year.
Mm.
Right. So if getting my hair cut, going to the gym, taking a nap, meal prepping, buying myself something, if those are things that I have done on a regular basis to take care of myself, if anything, I need to up the ante on that so I can manage the way that I feel. So I think, with things getting busy and holiday parties, which are exhausting, and got to be here, got to be there, we just say, oh, well, the holiday times are around and things fell off the plate.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, they don't really have to. They may just shift, but they don't have to fall off. And the priority is always going to be taking care of yourself. And then everything else can fit around that. So I would say don't stray away from how you've managed to care for yourself for the rest of the year, uh, because then you'll be feeling stuck and
Mm-hmm.
looking crazy sitting in a corner somewhere wondering what happened. Well, you stopped going to the gym, you stopped doing meal prep, you didn't go to the barbershop on Thursdays when you usually do, you didn't
Mm-hmm.
hang out with your friends. And so when we get away from that, we feel that our body feels that change in routine. And even though there's nothing wrong with a change in routine, when we neglect ourselves, then that's when I think we feel the heaviness of that.
I love that you bring in that reminder, right? That you've had all these other ways throughout the year that you have been caring for yourself, being attuned to your needs, and to use those same strategies during this time, even though there are some big changes potentially to our routines.
Yeah.
So I think even that reframe of thinking like, here's the opportunity for me to really continue to put into practice all these great strategies that I've already implemented. And I like that because I like a good positive challenge
Yeah.
where you can show yourself like, no, I can do this. I know how to take care of myself. I know how to check in with myself. And I'm not going to let, Uncle Joe trap me in that, highly
In
political
the kitchen by the
conversation.
spaghetti, right? Trying to corner me about what you're doing, how many girls you got, what that job paying, and family does that. Family can be so wonderful and also be very stressful.
Mhm.
And that's it. Family, I think, is the perfect example of two things can coexist together, where family can bring us so much joy and comfort, and they can also they can stress you out and make you not want to be around them. And so I think that it's really important for people to, let's say that, Christmas is, I got to go to my family's house and I
Mhm.
start to feel this anxiety or this overwhelming feeling. It's really important that we identify what the feeling is. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
feeling anxious. What is that anxiety telling me? Is it
Mhm.
telling me that, you're fearful of someone saying something, you feel insecure about what it is you haven't done, and you know that Aunt Laverne is going to ask about it. So truly identify that feeling and ask yourself, what is it trying to tell you? And then if you need to lie, Dr. Raquel Martin said it the best on one of her posts, lie if you have to. Get out of it. Say, I don't feel well today. I don't want to come. And when she said that, it was genius, but so simple, because we have this obligation to be around family at the holidays when sometimes you may want to rest. You may want to rest. You may want to just be around your friends that have become family. You may want to catch up on Netflix shows that you've heard about. Maybe these are only a couple of days you have off work, so you want to be intentional about how you use them. And so the other thing is limit your time. I know some families do these marathon days where we're here all day in and day out. When you don't have to pull a shift with family, you can do a half a day. You can go in for a couple of hours and then retreat and go do something else. So that way you have that balance of, I'm showing face, I'm meeting the expectation, but I'm not overly committing myself or exhausting myself to be in this space that brings me anxiety or bring me stress.
Dr. Dodson told you that you can lie to your family. So there you go. So there you go, people. No, it reminds me of this quote, the truth is good, but sometimes a lie is better. Because sometimes, your family is not going to be receptive to you saying, like, I just need a few hours to myself. I can't do the all day thing. I love you all. They're not going to accept that. That is going to hurt their feelings. But if you say, I wasn't feeling well this morning, so I couldn't be there at breakfast, but, I'll see you, for dinner or whatever it is.
Yeah. And, if they're anything like people I know, if you do lead with honesty, so I am an advocate for leading with honesty, but I also recognize that some cases, like you said, that may just open up another can of worms. So I may not be able to tell my family, I feel anxious when I come around you all, right? Because I'm not ready to have that conversation. Y'all are not ready to have that conversation. I don't even know what that would look like, but I can say, hey, I need some time to take care of some things. I'm not feeling well. I have another obligation. That obligation may be denting your sofa.
Yes.
That obligation may be laying down for an extra hour. They don't know, and it's not their business. But that is a way to create a boundary. A few weeks ago, I posted something. I said, boundaries protect me and teach you. Right. So if I am creating a boundary, I'm going to protect myself with that. And it's also going to hopefully teach you how to treat me and teach you that, okay, Justin won't be here until 2:00, and that's okay. Yeah. And I think it always ends with, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Just because something isn't going the way we think it should, it doesn't mean that it's doomsday. It just means that it won't look the same way. And is that the end of the world? No, it's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. It's okay. I love that, and to your point, yeah, I wasn't feeling well this morning because I was thinking about having to spend all my time with family.
Right. Because I created these scenarios in my head, and that created a feeling, and that made me feel low. So yeah, you're right. That's leading with honesty. I didn't feel good.
Exactly. They just don't have to know the reason. No, I love that. Identify your feelings, naming those feelings. I think there's so much power in naming what the feeling is. In that way, you can say, okay, now what information is this feeling giving me? And is there something I can do about it? Do I just need to sit with it? How can I manage my own expectations? How can I make choices that are both supportive of me, but also maintain the relationships, which are also important. So I love that. Well, let's take a quick break. You're listening to Let's Grab Coffee on WYXR 91.7 FM. I'm Sanaa, and we're here on WYXR 91.7 FM. This is Let's Grab Coffee. And this morning, we're talking to Dr. Justin K. Dodson of Navigating Courage, Counseling and Consultation. Now, Justin, before the break, we were talking about one of the main stressors of this holiday season, which is family. And you gave us a lot of great strategies for kind of managing our own emotions and managing the expectations of others as well. I know when it comes to family, I will be honest, I have those feelings of anxiety because you assume that your family might, do that same thing they do every Christmas or say that thing or ask those same questions. And for me, it comes a lot around politics. Like I don't want to get into any type of current events, conversations with
Yeah.
my family. So I'm wondering, how can we maneuver around these conversations, avoid them? Like, what is the best way to handle that?
Ooh, yeah. That is really good. I think that allowing your personality to work for you in those cases is probably the best way. So
Mm-hmm.
what may work for me may not work for you.
Right.
So you have options. I think you have options in everything you do. That could be saying, I really don't want to talk about that. Let's not get into that. We're here for fun, family. Let's just focus on that. That's one option. It allows you to be non-confrontational or problematic, but direct. I think you also can say, look, and this is my approach. I have jokes and I want to eat. That's what I have today. I don't have politics talk. I don't have the debate between male, female, black, white, Republican. I don't have that. I have jokes and I want to eat and I'm out of here. And I think that allows you to also be direct, but then use humor. And then sometimes you can just smile and walk away, right? So that may feel better to somebody. Just do what works for you, but try not to get pinned in somewhere. So if you are somewhere with somebody, have a code word, whether that's your favorite cousin or your spouse or a friend that you brought along. Have a code word. It's like, you need to save me, get me out of this corner, have somebody, help. And you have that where you can be playful, but yet have somebody as a wingman to get you out of something. And then you see a lot on social media where people are firing back at families. Oh, you still single? Well, you ain't had a man. And,
Right.
that may work for some people in some dynamics. And then that also may be problematic and cause some conflict that you're not ready to have. Now, if you can get away with that
Mm-hmm.
and your family can receive that and you can dish it, by all means. But the bigger picture here is do what works for your personality and know that you have options. I don't have to be here and be stuck and uncomfortable for hours on end.
Yes, I love that. You have options. I don't want anyone to feel like they don't have any way to kind of maneuver the situation. And I also like that idea of, lean on your own strengths, right? Like, what is your personality? Kind of how do you handle maybe difficult conversations or even conflict kind of in your daily life? You can use some of those same practices here. I think sometimes it gets tricky when you bring age and relationship into the picture, where it
Yeah.
is like that, grandma, grandpa, like an older family member. And then sometimes
Yeah.
I think, at least for me, I can feel like there's a level of respect or deference that I'm supposed to have, versus saying maybe what's really on my mind.
Right. Right. And then in that case, you can respectfully say, it didn't work out.
Hmm.
Or that's not something I feel comfortable talking about today.
Mm.
Or why is that important to you? Would you still love me the same? Even
Mm.
if that relationship still wasn't here, would you still love me the same if I wasn't doing what you thought I should? And so you can respond to people with respect, but also, if you need to deflect, deflect. This is all about taking care of yourself, and that's going to look differently for everybody. But older generations, you're right, a lot of people will impose what they think is best onto you, and that is law. And that is
Mm.
not right at all. Also, we're not 15 anymore,
Okay.
right? So, all right, now I hold down a job, I hold down my own business and my stuff. I'm not 15 and that shaky kid anymore. So by saying that, I'm really hoping that people show up with their present selves and not their 13 or 15-year-old self who was scared and easily manipulated and didn't have a voice. So finding your voice is really important. Also recognize that takes time.
Yeah.
Using your personality and using your strengths, I think that is a really great way to handle things. And sometimes just saying, hey, I don't really want to talk about that.
Mhm.
But older people, they will get you. They really will. Religious people and older people. I'm just gonna whisper that, and then we get one. But it will tear you down low, and that is not. We're talking about holiday cheer.
Yes, we need the
Yeah.
cheer. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for even giving language, right? You said, I'm not comfortable talking about that today, or I don't want to talk about that today, or why is this important to you? Those are all phrasing that we can use, we can practice. And then when, Uncle Joe, Aunt Laverne come try to roll up on us, we can say, hold up, I don't want to talk about that today. We
Yep.
can and leave it at that.
Right.
Um,
I see you coming in hot.
right.
I gotta go. I'm gonna go get to these sweet potatoes. You hear they almost gone. I gotta move and shake and get out of there.
Yes, and get out of there. Yes, I like that. I might have to put some of these strategies into practice immediately. But see, thank you for giving us this language. And it doesn't have to be, I know I gave the example of politics because that's very sensitive in my family. But for other folks, it could be those questions about why aren't you married? Where are the kids? All those same things. Why are you still working at that job? Or, all the questions that our family loves to ask us for some reason. They are choosing violence all the time. It is not, it is not even
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Not trying to fight today with you.
Right, not today.
Yeah.
Maybe in the new year. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I know we talked about family and all these uncomfortable conversations, but I also know that for some people, family is looking different this year. Maybe they've lost a loved one. And so trying to navigate all of these traditions, the holidays, all these memories, and realizing that this person is not here. And I'm wondering, for folks who are experiencing that, they themselves, what are some things that we could do? Or even for those of us who know maybe friends of ours are experiencing that loss, what are some things that we can do to be sensitive and supportive in this season?
Yeah. I think that's a really great question. And that really does show you the range of how people can experience the holidays and or family. I think it's helpful for people to know that you can create your own traditions. So if
Mhm.
something doesn't work for you anymore, or it doesn't feel the same because that person that was the glue for the family is no longer here, and now we're feeling strange around, do we go to the family house? Do we have this holiday? Who cooks? Creating your own traditions. And I know one thing in my family that I've seen is the as time passes and the generations are changing, that 70-year-old aunt may not be able to handle the holiday by herself anymore. So we
Yeah.
may still have it at her house, but maybe everybody else just brings something, and then we gather that way, because times are changing and the people that we were used to doing certain things just may not have the capacity or the wherewithal to do that anymore. And so acknowledging that and becoming adults. I know one of my friends, he said, all right, yeah, my cousin and I, we took on Thanksgiving this year, or we're going to do Christmas this year. And maybe we don't do the traditional food. Maybe we do a barbecue. Maybe we do a crab boil. Maybe we do a fish fry. And so getting outside of the norm, creating new traditions, having different people take on different roles is really important. And then also finding a way to honor the people or the things that you have lost, right?
Mm.
Because even when we talk about loss and grief, it comes in different forms. It comes in the form of death, it comes in the form of moving somewhere or not having the same access to people that made the holiday for you. And so creating new environments that feel good to you, that are helpful, that aren't hurtful to you or anyone else, I think is really important too. So again, we have options of how we choose to celebrate the holiday while also honoring people and things that may no longer be with us.
Mm, I like that a lot. Thank you. Because I know, so many of us have lost someone, over these last couple years in particular.
Yeah.
And still trying to figure out what does the holiday look like, let alone what does daily life look like, without this person, but particularly in a time that is so focused on family, 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 spending time with loved ones. It can kind of, I think, bring that kind of amp that grief up a little bit because of all these, again, expectations that you're supposed to be with your family and it's supposed to be, a happy time when you might not be feeling very happy at all.
Yeah. And I may be if I know that you have something that may feel sad to you because this is a day, maybe this is the anniversary of somebody, or maybe this is the first time that I'm experiencing this holiday without, take it upon yourself to reach out to that person that day and just say, hey, what would be most helpful for you today? How can I put some cheer on your face? And then it also could be, all right, get up, get dressed. This is what we're going to do. I'm coming over. I'm bringing. First thing that came to my mind was casserole. I don't bring a casserole. I'm bringing. People really love a casserole, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Bring something that feels good to them. Maybe it is that string bean casserole. I don't know. But bring a dish or some food or a dessert or a treat that feels really good to them. And maybe that means you stock up on their favorite thing before the holiday because things are going to be closed. And creating a plan or setting the expectation of, okay, come Thursday, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. So they've been able to mentally prepare to be social because it may be that cousin or that friend that doesn't want to get out of the house, and that's okay. So that means maybe I'll come to you. And so again, we have options, but sometimes taking it upon ourselves to be that person to say, you know what, I think that Justin may be feeling low today. Let me do something or let me see how I can be available to him, even if that means inviting him somewhere, coming over, sending him a podcast to listen to, sending him this podcast interview to listen to say, hey, check this out. I think it may help you. There are resources.
Okay, I like that. Again, options. I see recurring theme. There are options here as well for showing up for people. And what we've learned is that Justin wants that string bean casserole. So if you think he's going through it, show up at his house with the casserole. He will feel much better.
Do not show up to if you show up to my house with the casserole, you wanted violence that day. You wanted violence, and you could have just said that. You could have just said, y'all want to fight. You didn't have to bring this casserole with French onions on top of it.
But maybe you need to fight. You need to get that energy out of your body. You need to move.
Maybe so.
Okay, no casseroles, but still doing the things that are comforting and maybe could bring some laughter to that person. I'm even thinking about over Thanksgiving, one of my best friends, he was like, hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Just wanting to make sure that, you're going to be doing something or with someone because he knows that my relationship with my family, it can be a little rocky, from time to time. And that just meant so much to me that he was checking in. And also that I knew that if I would have said like, oh, I'm not doing anything, that he would have been like, no, you're going to come over to my family's house. Like, I'm not going to have you sitting at home alone. You know what I mean? So I just thought that was just so meaningful. Just someone reaching out.
And then it's even, so I think that's a perfect example, or people that you may work with that aren't from the area and they can't be with their family either because they have to work on the holiday or they just can't get back anywhere else. And just say, like a friend of mine, she's from Charlotte, somewhere in North Carolina. And I just said, hey, are you going to be doing anything for the holiday? You're always welcome to come over here. And, she had some other options, but just to know, was thinking about you. You have somewhere to come if you want to, just putting it out there. No pressure, but at least giving somebody the option. So that could be a coworker, that could be a friend that just may not have people here. It could be somebody that I don't want to connect with my family today, or I'm not invited to come connect with my family today. So what does the day look like?
Yes. Yeah. And, it made me think too, I know one thing that I often hear people who have lost a loved one say is like, people forget, maybe you've lost a loved one, a few months ago, and in those immediate days or weeks, people are kind of checking in on you, bringing the casserole or inviting you out or whatever it is. But then by the time several months later that the holidays, roll around, people have kind of forgotten about you a little bit. And so just that, reaching out, text, phone call, whatever it is, I think it does go a long way.
For sure. And no one can tell you how long you should grieve.
Mm,
No one can tell you, oh, you need to get over that. It's time to move on. Because that is something that's reoccurring in the grief work that I do with people, that for maybe a month, people are checking in, present, surrounding you. And then you're right, as time fades, the support fades. And
mm,
as the support fades, I have to live more in a reality of what this is going to look like without as many people around and supporting me.
mm,
And understanding that my grief period, no matter what I'm grieving, no matter if that's a change in job or a loss of an income or a loss of a relationship or a person, that can look differently for everybody. My rule of thumb, when I lose or when no, when I was going through my dissertation process and I get bad feedback, I know this is a different type of example, but I would give myself a certain number of days to say, all right, get over it. And then other times I would just have to sit with, okay, this feels really bad.
mhm,
So my father passed when I was a kid, and even 24 years later, I still feel this feeling of, dang, I wonder what it would be like if he were here. I
mm,
wonder how I would be different if he were here. And so I get to have those thoughts and those feelings. Those are mine. Those aren't other people's. So I think that giving people the space to feel how they feel is the best way to respect somebody, and not imposing what you think is best for them, because you don't know what's
mm.
best for them because you didn't ask.
Ooh, because you didn't ask. I think that is so key as well, because we can often assume what people want or need, not just in this season, but throughout the year. But asking people, what is it that you need? How can I show up for you? I think it is really important. And, what you said about, losing your father at a young age, but still, even now, decades later, having these moments of sadness or grief. Absolutely, because I lost my mom as a child. And even now, there are moments where I'm completely, surprised by the grief that I feel in thinking about, wow, what would it be like to have my mother here? Or not even that, the sadness of my mom isn't here when I'm, experiencing this great news or experiencing something, super sad, or just milestones in my life. And sometimes it is unexpected the way grief shows up, and we just have to hold space for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Honor it, let it sit, and figure out what you want to do with it is really important.
Yes. Again, back to identifying those emotions, creating space for them. And then what are these emotions telling me? What information are they giving me? And what are the next steps after that? Well,
Yeah.
let's take another quick break. You're listening to Let's Grab Coffee on WYXR 91.7 FM. I'm Sanaa, and this is Let's Grab Coffee on WYXR 91.7 FM. This morning, we are talking with Dr. Justin K. Dodson of Navigating Courage, Counseling and Consultation. And we've been talking about the holidays and some of the stressors that the holidays bring, and some strategies that we can put into place to manage our own stress, but also to be cognizant of what those around us might be dealing with this holiday season as well. Now, one big thing that I see at this time of year is all of these pushes to finish the year
Mhm.
strong. And in
Yeah.
this case, people mean you have to finish that to-do list. You have to finish out those yearly goals. You have to finish the year feeling like a winner. And I feel like, oh, I'm just stressed even thinking
Yeah.
about trying to do more at the end of the year. Um, Tell me, Justin, what are your thoughts about finish the year strong? What should we be thinking about? Should we be finishing the year strong? What should we be doing in these last, few days and weeks?
Let's just finish the year. Do we have to qualify if it's quote unquote strong or not? I was thinking about all the things that I would like to do and that I need to get done in order to strategically execute my plan for 2023. And I
Mhm.
got overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I was sitting at my kitchen table maybe last week, and I got overwhelmed when I was looking at my to-do list and considering all the things I needed to do. So I ended up blocking off my calendar for the last week so I can take some rest and handle some things. But also acceptance is a really big thing that comes up for me right now. So, everybody works in different spaces. So that means maybe I have this push from my boss or the expectation of a project that I'm on to meet this yearly budget or this goal. Maybe personally, I wanted to have lost so many pounds or had been in the gym for so many days a week, or I wanted a boo this year, or I wanted to buy something for myself. And accepting that, okay, is it realistic for this thing to happen? Where did this expectation come from? Am I creating this in my mind and holding myself to this? Is someone else placing this expectation on me? And am I going to kill myself or hurt myself by making sure that this happens? So I think sometimes we run ourselves so ragged and so low that we're trying to meet something that doesn't even have to be met. So finishing the year strong may look different for everybody. For me, that'll be sitting down, resting, and choosing blocks of the day on that last day of the week, the last week of the month, I'm sorry, to handle some things. Great. Some things may roll over in 2023. I'm okay with that. So maybe identify what it is. All right, I have to absolutely do this by this date. So how do I make the best use of the time that I have? And right, so you're a taskmaster, you know about making those lists and checking things off. And then I think the next step is acceptance around, okay, if this doesn't happen, what's the worst thing that could happen? And usually the answer to that question is not much. I may be disappointed or my feelings may be hurt, but usually nothing major changes. And so you still get that next day. Even sometimes I'll be getting ready and I could squeeze in a ride on the Peloton, or I could do this. And then I have to come back to myself and say, okay, that's not the best use of your time. Don't feel so rushed to make sure you do everything. So I think finishing the year strong looks different for everybody. Be realistic about what you can do. Employers, be realistic about what can be done. Because, you know, even from a leadership standpoint, I think that a lot of the anxiety that bosses or employers put on their employees are really coming top down. Yeah. So somebody's in their ear and then they give you that anxiety and these things to do. So now I'm absorbing this as my own, when in reality, this isn't even realistic to do. You're not even doing this work. I'm the one doing this work. You're just holding me to it. So on one hand, I understand from a structural standpoint, that's how people operate. And then from a humanistic standpoint, that's not always nice and kind to people, because just like you want to be at home for the holidays and sharing time with your people or by yourself, so does your employee. So I think that we have to give space and be realistic and supportive to people around this time, because you never know what it could bring for people.
What I'm hearing in you saying that is we want to lessen the stress for ourselves. So why have we put these unrealistic expectations on ourselves, but also lessen the stress for others, particularly for those of us who are in positions of leadership. We can actually make a difference in our team members' lives or in the folks who are working with us in their lives by not having all of these unrealistic expectations on them, or even taking some things off of their plate. Like, it is okay. We don't have to finish the year strong. Like you said, we just need to finish the year. If we could just be here through the end of the year, that is major.
Exactly. And sometimes we don't see that. You know, you have all these influencers that are yelling at you every time you open up your app about what you should be doing, what you should have done, and get off your butt, which I get that can be motivating, but also maybe that doesn't work for everybody. And you feel strong about that. You feel intense about that. Maybe I don't feel the same way. Just like therapy. I am a therapist and I'm an advocate for it, but also recognize that it's not going to work unless people are ready. So I can't be yelling at you about doing something when that just may not be your road to toe right now or ever. And so do what's best for you, do what works, because if you don't, that's how we end up unhappy. That's how we end up miserable, trying to please other people. And then sometimes even when we do get stressed and we're trying to make everything work, we have to realize and ask ourselves, where is this coming from? Is this me trying to please people so they will like me? Is this me trying to to please someone so that I don't make them angry, you know, we are some master people pleasers. And I put that on everybody. I put that on myself as well. To a certain degree, we are working to please other people, no matter if it's a client or a boss or a friend. And sometimes that can be really overwhelming if we're not taking care of ourselves while also meeting expectations.
Yes. As we've been talking, I'm just thinking again, expectations. Where are these expectations coming from? Are they expectations that are helpful? Or are they expectations that, are bringing us more harm as we try to meet them, oftentimes unrealistic expectations? So I think that's really key to keep in mind. And then also this idea of, it's okay. It's okay. It is okay if we don't meet certain expectations. It is okay. And really what I'm hearing is we just need to to relax for the for the rest of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah. Relax, do some deep breathing, sit down, watch something, eat something, be around people if that gives you energy, restrict being around people if that helps you to some degree, not isolation, but it's okay to create boundaries. Like last night, I was offered to go somewhere. I'm good. I'm good. I'm actually about to lay it down, and it was a strong 9:30, and I was feeling really good about that. And by the time 9:45 hit, I said, I am exactly where I need to be, in the bed, safe. That's where you're safe. Put me underneath this bed. And I was good with that. And I didn't feel the need to be out and to be seen and to be spending money that I need tomorrow. So it's cool just to relax. I'm not saying get fired or do anything wrong, but can you relax some so that you can put the rocks where they belong and take a moment to step back and say, all right, what am I really looking at here? What's realistic? What do I want to do? What feels good? And can I delegate this? Can I put this off on someone else? And then what can wait until 2023?
Yes. What can wait until 2023? I think a lot of things can wait until the new year, and that is perfectly okay. Now, you mentioned, being at home, saying no to that great invitation to get out and be social. One thing during this time of year, it seems like everyone has to get together. Your job has all these different holiday parties. Every organization that you're a part of is having some sort of get together. Friends that you haven't seen since, last
Yeah.
holiday are having, a get together. How can we make choices about what we're going to go to, what we're going to say no to, and then how to say no while still feeling like we're connected, right? That we're not saying no to the relationship, to the friendship, whatever type of relationship it is, but that, hey, I just I can't do one more happy hour. I can't do it.
Yeah. Look at that budget and figure out what you can realistically do. So if I have $200 on entertainment this month, and I have $20 left, maybe I cannot go to that happy hour. Maybe I can't go to this party. So regretfully, hey, my schedule didn't work out the way that I wanted it to or that I thought it would, so I won't be able to come. A friend of mine, she's an interior designer, and she was saying, oh, they wanted money, so I can't. So right, so it's a donation party, can't do it. So regretfully, won't be able to make it. A schedule won't allow. We're not feeling well. So again, life you have to, but you have options. And so a lot of people, we haven't created a budget around this time. Everybody wants to do a game. Everybody wants you to buy something. Everybody wants you to bring something. And looking at that social calendar, okay, what would be exhausting for me to go to? What can I afford to go to? What do I want to go to? Are all good questions to ask ourselves and prioritize. All right, I need to show face at this work event because I just need to.
Right.
I need to go to this family gathering because it's going to make me feel really good to be around these people. I need to go to this event because I haven't seen my classmates in 10 years. Okay. Everything else is just something that I can do, but I don't have to. So I think that those are really important things to pay attention to. One event may be in Lakeland and the other may be downtown. Nope. I'm not about to drive out of town in one day to do this. So also recognizing that it just may not be feasible to do it all in one day, and to tell and be honest with people or to lie to them. I don't, do something, do what you got to do. The bigger picture here.
Yes. I like those questions though that you share, just thinking about, all right, what is it that I need to do? And then again, thinking about what qualifies as a need. What is it something that I just want to do that might be fun? What can I afford? Hello. Yes, that is so important. How is this going to make me feel? Am I going to feel stressed? Am I going to feel bad about myself? Or am I going to feel, joyful? Am I going to feel, supported? Am I going to feel excited and have a really good time here? And then again, that actual time commitment as well, factoring all that in. So I think these are a lot of great ways to think about, all right, yes or no? Am I going to this holiday event? Here's how I'm making these decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And stand 10 toes down in the decision that you make. If I'm going to regret this, okay, let me reevaluate it. If I'm completely fine without doing that, let that be one less thing that I worry about or put on my list. And then we prioritize from there. So looking at a budget, looking at a priority list, looking at what's realistic, looking at proximity of these things. Do I feel more comfortable going with somebody, or would I be alone? Does that make a difference? Who's expecting me to be there? What's my expectation of myself in that space? All really important. If I really want to drink, is this really so far away? Will I be able to make that work? So being safe as well is something to consider, because maybe I won't be able to go to Arlington again. Arlington, Lakeland, for me, those places are far. So I won't be able to, I may just have a 2-drink minimum, and then I won't be able to shake it down with everybody because I have to get back to this 40-minute drive that I have across town.
Yeah. Yes. All good things to consider as we're making these decisions about what to do during this holiday season. Now, I know we talked a lot about the stressors, but I'm also wondering, during this season, what are some things that bring you joy? And maybe some things that in general we could be thinking about as joyful and enjoyable experiences versus, I know, all the stress of this time.
Yeah. Ooh. I think so. For me, with this being the end of the first year I've been in entrepreneurship full time, something that I foresee myself, or I foresee bringing me joy, is strategically planning for next year, getting some rest and blocking off my calendar. I grew up with rest on holidays. So we really weren't the jump from house to house family on the holidays. So we were like a 1 or 2 minimum, and then we were at the house. And so I still enjoy that for myself. Those things feel good. I have a couple of things on my calendar in terms of being at, but other than that, I don't try to overdo it. So that feels really good to me. Eating in a way that I probably haven't had all year is really cool. And doing things like this and sharing with you so we can share with other people, that also feels good. And so I think all of those things, a combination of those, feel good to me. Yeah.
I like that, because as I was listening to what you said, none of those things were things that required a lot of money. None of those were things that required, really a lot of time or a lot of you're not overextending yourself. And it also, what I heard was you really checking in with yourself. And I love that. So we think about this time of year, one of having to, have all this joy, right? Almost like it's mandated that you are joyful and you're having a good time.
Right.
But also thinking about, how you said it, what brings you joy is planning for success, checking in. How was this year of business? What am I looking forward to in the next year? Rest, I think, so important. And then you did say spending time with loved ones, but not overextending yourself, right? Not feeling as if you have to spend every day or every weekend, or all day or, extended period of time with loved ones, but still enjoying their company. So it sounded very balanced, which I think balance can bring us a lot of joy as well.
Yeah, it really can. Even when you say that, I am not a big drinker.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that holiday time, holiday parties, holiday gatherings are usually involving a lot. And I don't like to feel really dry and not well the next day. And so also balancing my intake of drinks in these social settings is really important to me because I know how it makes me feel the next day. So I think the bigger picture there is balancing or recognizing what it is you're exposing yourself to one day and knowing the effects of what that's going to look like the next day.
Yeah.
Whether
So
that's spending money or food or alcohol or being around certain people, right? So every time I'm around this person, I feel really icky the next day. Why is that? Let me see if I can limit myself. So paying attention to patterns. And I don't know about anyone else, but the older I get, these drinks ain't they something about that next day just does not it ain't right. And so managing that in a way that all right, I can still enjoy this, I can still do this thing, but then the next day I don't have to feel bad. And then also I was said this a while ago. Let's say that I am at a social gathering, a happy hour or something like that, and I do have that $20 left in my budget. Instead of looking like I fit or looking like I have the money, let me just get a refill on cranberry juice. And so that way I'm still in the mix, but I'm not spending $12 on this mixed drink, but I'm spending $2 or $3 on this cranberry. And I think that that's a way to mix it up with staying in budget and not looking like you just need to do something. And if you have something at home, do a little pregame or whatever you want to do at home, and then get your juice. So that way, because and I think for people, it feels more confident if I have something in my hand when I'm in these settings. And I get that, it makes sense. But then also, is this card going to approve? Is this receipt gonna come back to me? And somebody, so okay, let's be again realistic about what it is we can do is really important.
I love that. Yes, let's be realistic and let's let this time of year be the time where we continue all of these self-care practices, where we continue all of the strategies that we've already put in place that help us feel safe, secure, and supported. We don't have to overextend ourselves during the holiday season. We can continue with that great balance as well. So I love it. Well, Justin, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. As always, absolutely loved having you on, and thank you for everything that you shared with us this morning.
Thank you. It's been so fun. So fun.
Yes, I love anytime that I can have Dr. Justin K. Dodson on the show, and you can see why. What an informative and fun conversation. Dr. Dodson is the owner of Navigating Courage Counseling and Consultation. And I just think at this time of year, it was so important to have these reminders that, hey, it is okay if we don't meet all of these unrealistic expectations of the season. It is okay for us to continue to put those strategies of caring for ourselves into practice. And it's okay if this time of year looks differently. That is okay. So I love those reminders. I don't know about you, but I needed those reminders for myself as well, because sometimes this season can push us to do things that we don't really want to do, can push us to engage in some activities or habits that maybe aren't the most supportive. So don't let this season make us do some things that we don't want to do, some things that are harmful or hurtful, but instead we can make the season what it needs to be. Well, thank you all for joining us this morning. This has been Let's Grab Coffee on WYXR 91.7 FM. And maybe you do want to send this show to someone else. You can catch the replay on WYXR.org or subscribe to Let's Grab Coffee wherever you stream podcasts. I think this would be a great conversation to share with friends or share with family, and maybe even open up that opportunity to talk through some different expectations of this holiday season. Well, I can't wait for you to be back here with me next Monday morning.